All right, y'all. Welcome back. Let me
But they
pause
do,
this.
excuse me, no race. They do this white shit with me. They go,
I'm over here watching this Tyson. But look over here, we doing a reaction on this prison in Florence, Supermax, America's toughest prison in the world. So we about to see if this prison really tough, cause I don't think so.
Built south of Florence, Colorado in 1994, is the most secure prison in the United States prison system. America's only federal Supermax prison is home to some of the world's most dangerous criminals, including names you might recognize.
There go
Today, we
Escobar.
will tell you about the Florence Supermax, America's toughest prison. Number 7. What is a Supermax prison? Supermax prisons are the highest level security prisons, designed to hold inmates that pose extreme security threats. Inmates have little to no time outside of their cells, very few activities, and very little contact with other humans. Alcatraz is considered to be an early example of what would become the Supermax model. The controversial penitentiary on the outskirts of Florence, a small rural town once founded as a pass-through for coal-carrying trains in the 1800s, first started housing inmates in 1994. Today, ADX is home to 361 of the country's most high-profile criminals. Prisoners here, we're talking serial killers, terrorists, mobsters.
Y'all seen how all them gates and them different levels, what them called tiers. First tier, second tier, third tier. You know, when guys be having stories when they be saying, dude threw him off the top tier and they hit the ground like splat. Well, them are the rails that people get thrown off of. Okay? Now, usually they supposed to have like a gate or a net that goes across to lock that off. So they must got some type of routine they have. They said it's secure, but they said it's the toughest prison with all the, the highest murderers, rapists, everything. But they look clean as hell in there. So they must be locked up 24/7 for real. Well, what is it called? It's called, I believe it's 23 and 1. 23 and 1. Yeah, when you lock down 23 hours and you only out 1 hour. So I believe that's how they move them around.
Drug kingpins, and those deemed too violent to live among a general prison population, live in near continuous solitary confinement. Inmates spend 23 or more hours a day isolated in soundproof 7 by 12-foot cells outfitted with a single 4-inch slit for a window. Due to these conditions, the ADX has been at the center of contentious debate about human rights and solitary confinement's effect on mental health. As Robert Hood, a former warden of the ADX, told the New York Times in 2015, this place is not designed for humanity. In fact, the decision by a London court in early 2021 not to extradite Julian Assange to American soil can be partially attributed to his possible assignment to ADX. The judge, Vanessa Baratzer, said that her impression.
With so many choices across the U.S., find Boston hotels even Yankees fans could love.
Who does Joe Biden have to thank for backing his extreme liberal agenda?
I want to thank my buddy Sherrod Brown.
Brown backed
of the WikiLeaks founder's mental state was such that it would be oppressive to extradite him to the United States of America. The ruling implied that 23-hour-a-day isolation would be too iron-fisted for someone exhibiting depressive and suicidal behavior. Assange is currently jailed in southeast London. The last time ADX made headlines for a high-profile individual was in 2019, when Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the leader of Mexico's Sinaloa drug cartel, was relocated to Colorado after being sentenced to life plus 30 years on international drug trafficking charges. With a propensity for violence and access to near unlimited resources, El Chapo was an obvious candidate for the ADX. He's twice escaped from maximum security prisons in Mexico. His jailbreak from El Altiplano in the summer of 2015, in which he drove a motorcycle through a mile-long underground tunnel, is the stuff of movies, as was his recapture by Mexico's Marines in January 2016, which was preceded by a massive 6-month manhunt, a deadly gunfight, and El Chapo slipping out of an escape hatch hidden behind a closet mirror. No one has ever escaped the ADX, although there has been one homicide within its walls, which is why it's been called the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Most prisoners get out only in death, via transfer to another facility, or in very few cases, if they live long enough to.
Hey, hold on. They say he drove a bike through a tunnel below the prison. Now look, the story that I heard was that he got so much money that he bought a construction site on the other side where the prison was at. And he had workers digging a tunnel for him while he was locked up. Let me tell you something. For a guy that can dig a tunnel and get out, buy a whole construction site, he got a lot of money to spend. He definitely do. El Chapo is something different. He's different.
Their release date. Number 6, the U.S.'s most secure prison. Commonly referred to as a Supermax prison, it has 490 beds in a compound which encompasses 37 acres. The prison was designed to house prisoners deemed too dangerous or high profile for regular incarceration, and nearly 95% of all inmates that have been sent to Florence were transfers with histories of violent behavior in other prison facilities. ADX Florence is known for its harsh conditions. Inmates are kept in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day. The hour they are allowed out is into a bigger cell with vaulted ceilings called the empty swimming pool. This room has a 4-inch by 4-foot skylight as the only window. It is designed to prevent the prisoners from knowing where they are, and they still spend this time alone. For at least the first 3 years, prisoners are not allowed to come in contact with other prisoners at any time, anywhere on the premises. Over time, good behavior can earn inmates more outside time. And for the
Hey, well, you hear that? That's a good thing. So if you only got 3 years or you got 2 years, you ain't even gonna come in contact with nobody. You gonna actually go in there, do your time, and go home. You ain't gonna even experience nothing. So dude probably gonna go home with all type of stories talking about he did this, did that. Ain't nobody even see you. Some of y'all be thinking some of these guys be coming home, be the toughest guy in the world after they come out of prison. Nah, that ain't what it is, man. I grew up on 116th. That's the toughest, most one of the toughest cities in Cleveland. We had little dudes going to jail at the age of like 12 and 11 years old. I had to go to like a jail scare straight program where everybody get locked up in Cleveland go to. You know what I'm saying? Because I was getting in trouble. So I was able to see, how dudes was locked up. You know what I'm saying? So without actually going. So that's a blessing. That is a blessing. So, a lot of guys that I was growing up with was getting locked up, coming out. They used to be happy coming out with their little jogging pants on and their white t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Some of them had little blue shorts on. Everybody used to be happy. They had their little stories. Man, nobody wasn't trying to hear that, bro. They ain't trying to hear that shit. Wasn't cool. It wasn't cool at all. I was trying to hoop. Actually, I wasn't even trying to hang with them. For real, I was trying to get it in. Go ahead and let me stop talking and let me play this video.
Fortunate, a possible transfer back to a less secure prison can await. The cell furniture is limited to a desk, stool, and a bed, and each is constructed of poured concrete. The toilets are designed to shut off and plug, and the showers are on timers. Rooms may have mirrors, lights, radios, and in very rare instances, televisions. But these are used as privileges based on behavior and are seldom awarded. There is no mess hall. Food is hand-delivered to each inmate by the guards. The prison has a multitude of motion detectors and cameras, 1,400 remote-controlled steel doors, and 12-foot-high razor-wire fences. It would be difficult to classify the prisoners as being unfairly treated, given the circumstances which likely got them there. Former ADX wardens have described the place as a cleaner version of hell. The prison operates under the strategy of sensory
Cleveland
deprivation
version
and
of
solitude. Inmates are
ain't
left
nowhere
to
near
their own
there.
thoughts, which often leads to hallucinations, memory loss, and increasingly irrational behavior. Number 5. ADX has a reputation for being escape-proof. El Chapo has escaped prison twice while being held by Mexican authorities, in 2015 and 2001. But ADX is
That boy
different.
escaped
Nicknamed
artist.
the Alcatraz of the Rockies, no one has escaped the facility located in the high desert about 2 hours south of Denver since it opened in 1994. Inmates are housed in soundproof 7 by 12-foot cells for 23 hours of the day in permanent lockdown, with no contact with other inmates. Staff members are carefully vetted and have little direct contact with inmates. Each cell contains a bunk, desk, stool, and shelf made of concrete, and a steel sink and toilet. Inmates can see outside of their cell through a single window that is 3 feet high and 4 inches wide, according to the New York Times. Most cells have
That shit
television.
look
According to the SF Gate, ADX is the only prison specifically designed to keep every occupant in near total solitary confinement. Number 4, ADX was born after the killing of 2 correctional officers. According to the Washington Post, ADX was conceived in the wake of the killing of 2 correctional officers on October 22, 1983, at the Marion Federal Prison in Illinois, what was at the time the toughest federal.
Man, not too.
I have concluded a very fragile truce with Sigismund, and if anyone should
Federal prison in the country. After their deaths, Marion was changed into an all-lockdown facility and served as the test model for other Supermax lockdown facilities like Pelican Bay and eventually ADX. Number 3, worse than death. Current C1 columnist Robert Hood, who served as ADX warden from 2002 to 2005, described life in ADX in stark terms to CNN. As soon as they come through the door, you see it in their faces. That's when it really hits you. You're looking at the beauty of the Rocky Mountains in the
Them cages that y'all seen outside, some people probably thinking like, man, is them cages that you get locked up, you know what I'm saying, they put you in too? Nah, them outside cages, like basically rack. So like when I told y'all 23 and 1, okay, 23 is 1 is it's 24 hours in a day. You locked up 23 hours and you outside for 1 hour. Well, they got certain rooms for certain people. Well, the ones, I believe, them gates that's outside, that's the ones that you still able to have some type of some type of connection to, some type of communication with people. So you will be in one cage, and then the next person be in another cage, the next person be in another cage, and then you walk around that cage. But you that 1 hour you still locked up. You might have a hoop in there, you might have nothing in there. Might just have a ball, or you might have nothing. You might just walk in there, and that's it. And you got to come up with things within an hour to try to keep yourself busy. Now, if you like a person that's like real dangerous, I guess it's different levels. I'm not really sure. That's why you don't go to prison. I've never been to prison, but I know from just because, to be honest with you, my parents went to prison. I mean, not prison. My mom went to jail, but my dad went to prison. My stepfather went to prison. My cousins went to prison. Friends went to prison. Everybody went to prison around me. So I just know how that stuff go. Okay? Fed and state. You feel me? Both. So, and I believe, if you got a higher offense, you go into a room where it's concrete. You feel me? You and that boy, and it's probably a window all the way up top or something, and you don't have no connection to nobody. Yeah, they take you away, all away, put you in the back like a casket. You just dead to the world. It's dangerous. It really is.
drop. When you get inside, that is the last time you will ever see it. The Supermax is life after death. It's long-term. In my opinion, it's far much worse than death. Number 2, it holds many high-profile inmates. A facility for the worst of the worst obviously holds a lot of criminals with household names. ADX Florence is home to some of this country's most violent and evil criminals. It is also the #1 holding facility for convicted terrorists. One of the most famous residents is Thomas Silverstein, a convicted murderer and former Aryan Brotherhood leader who has committed 4 additional murders while in prison. Silverstein currently holds the record of being the longest resident of solitary confinement in the United States prison system, having been in solitary since 1983. Silverstein is often credited with being one of the reasons the ADX Supermax was designed, due to his uncontrollable activities in other prisons.
See, a guy like that will push that banger. And everybody know what a banger is. A banger is, you know, it's considered something sharp. He'll push it. They said 4 murders in prison. He a leader of a gang in prison. I think the Aryan brothers, I think that's like a white gang. I mean, he not. I want to say they racist, man. But they racist though. You feel me? They don't like black people. But that's part of prison. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to your race. You feel me? And I wonder, all them people they stab. Sometimes I say out of them 4 people, one of them probably was black, but the other 3 they was probably white. More than likely. More than likely. That's just how it go. You know what I'm saying? You do something wrong in your race, you know what I'm saying? Instead of if you do something wrong, this is how it works. If you do something wrong and I'm black, right? And I go and do something to a white person, right? Well, white person and we don't fight. But the white dude want to fight me though. Well, who hits the white person? That's whoever in charge of they race or whatever will come over and talk to whoever in charge of my race and be like, we got a problem on our hands. You know what I'm saying? We don't want them to fight, but we want y'all to deal with it. You feel me? And it depends on how severe the situation is. You feel me? It goes down there. You know what I'm saying? So
Historically, the addition of another life sentence to a prisoner who already has one hasn't proved successful. Harsher penalties were needed to restore order and deter prisoners from killing prison guards. The threat of being transferred to solitary confinement at ADX Florence is the best deterrent in the prison system the United States has against violent crime. #1, the problem with Supermax prisons. Daniel Faithy, the director of the National Prison Project at the American Civil Liberties Union, wrote for the about this problem, saying, in overcrowded prison systems, the typical response has been to fill the remaining Supermax cells with nuisance prisoners, those who file lawsuits, violate minor prison rules, or otherwise annoy staff, but by no stretch of the imagination require the extremely high security of a Supermax facility. Thus, in Wisconsin's Supermax, one of the worst was a 16-year-old car thief. 20-year-old David Tracy hanged himself in a Virginia Supermax. He had been sent there at age 19, with a 2.5-year sentence for selling drugs. The story doesn't stop in prison.
Now, let me tell you something. Yeah, he hung himself, right? Okay? He hung himself. But something else had to be going on if he hung himself. I'm telling you, it just don't be because he locked up.
While some in Supermax prisons serve life sentences to completion and others commit suicide, the overwhelming majority of these prisoners are released back into society. In fact, 95% of Supermax prisoners eventually are released. This reality means that everyday Americans should care about what happens in Supermax prisons. Do share with us in the comments if you more about this prison. Please subscribe to The Luxury World. Thanks for watching.
All right, y'all. Thanks for watching too, man. Subscribe, like, and comment. And always, like I say, if you like, I like, and I always will support. I'm going to let that sink in. But like what he just said, though, at the end, before I leave out, man, he had made a good statement. I just forgot. And What he said at the end.
Percent of Supermax prisoners eventually are released.
Okay, that part. All right, that part. Now look, that part when he say when they are eventually released, this is what they mean by this. So a dude can be in there for 20 years, 30 years, locked up in a supermax. I mean, either he can be in a gate talking to somebody next door in the gate when he go out for that 1 hour, or he can be locked up in a concrete room every day, like we seen with the one guy. He had a concrete room. The guy that killed 4 people. They got him in the concrete room. So he can't have no access to nobody. They will release him coming out that concrete room into the world that day. Go out there. Bye. Like he's supposed to survive out there instantly. Dude been locked up in the room for 30 years and he probably don't even know what nothing looked like. That is the reason why you got repeated offenders. Offenders, I mean. Constantly. They don't have no type of program, no type of situation set up for them where they'd be okay. Some places do. In some situations, they do got places set up for them, but it don't be enough. But I wish I had some money or something to give back or something like that. I would. You know, like I said, you know, me and my wife or whatever, we was trying to do some type of giveaway, something small, probably like a school giveaway or something. Like I probably post it on here. We do something small like a giveaway. You know, take $500, go set up and just pass out. You know, one day on the first day of school or something. But it's hard out here. It really is. So I pray for all the ones that, you know, having it hard out here, you know, that's having it rough today, you know, that's probably getting locked up today. I hope y'all get it right. You know, get your money up and, you know, blessings. Stay tuned.